Hi everyone, and thanks a lot for taking time out to look at this video. What I'll be talking about today is we are going to talk about briefly about Business Appointment Manager, which is a fantastic product if you are looking at expanding your product base, which allows your customers or yourselves to create appointments. And when we talk about appointments, it allows you to set up appointments in any kind of environment where somebody needs to deliver that appointment. So once you have booked an appointment, you can then go ahead and deliver that appointment. So if you want to schedule all the statuses, all the different steps in booking the appointment, then checking who's going to deliver that appointment, and finally completing the appointment, it allows you to do all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the product. I'm going to take you through various options and features. I'm going to take you through the various sections on the application, and then I'm going to talk about some of the benefits and some of the reports it allows you to generate. And at the end of it, very briefly, I'm going to talk about how you can link it to RMS and send all your appointments to RMS as work orders. Okay, so Business Appointment Manager, it is a product by a company called BMS, and they have created this product mainly to target any environment where appointments needs to be set up, and where you have people who deliver those appointments. So like any technicians, any people who are going to be working with your customers to deliver those appointments. Plus, wherever you need any kind of resources that also go into those appointments. So any kind of resources like massage rooms, or even the chair where the haircut is going to happen. So those kind of things. So it brings the two things together, and it allows you to look at who is doing what kind of appointments and who's free, so that you can book them for any other appointments. So let's have a quick look at the application and how it is set up and so on and so forth. To begin with, if you wanted to play with this application, you can create a sample database. So if you wanted to create a sample database, these are just basically some of the examples that it comes with a sample database out of the box. So for any reason, if you want to do a demo, or if you want to set it up yourself to play with it, and if you're talking to customers in these different industries, then you can set up. And that is a very good thing about this application, that it comes with so many different sample databases right out of the box. So today what I'll be talking about, this particular webinar will be based on Salon and Spa Center database. So this is pretty much the most common scenario that we come across every now and then. But as you can see, it can cater to pretty much everything when it comes to booking appointments. So I've already created a Salon and a Spa Center database. So my sample database will have information, items, and details about this industry. You can have a full online help if you wanted to go through that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so in terms of the application, it looks like it has used heavily Microsoft technologies, and it looks like in terms of interface, it looks like Outlook. So you have your navigation pane on the left hand side, and you have got your main screen on the right side. If you want to jump from one section to the other, you can either jump directly by clicking on it, or you can scroll and go to that particular section at the bottom. So to begin with, when you log in into Business Appointment Manager, and I'm going to refer to this as BAM henceforth. So when you log in into BAM, you can see today's date, and you can see your technicians or your employees or your staff. So depending on which industry you are in. They will be called whatever they need to be called, like technicians, staff, or your employees. So you can see on the calendar grid at the top, you have your employees, and on the right hand side, you have your resources. So employees are the people who are going to deliver the appointment, and resources are actually the place where the appointment is going to be delivered. Okay, so you can see it either by individual employee or you can see it by resources. So right now you have all selected for resources, so it's showing you, show me everything in terms of resources, but show it to me by these employees. Okay, so if we take an example of Brian Green, it's telling me that Brian is pretty much occupied from 8 a.m. Right up to 10 a.m. and there he has some gap, and then he has another appointment until his lunch break, and so on and so forth. So this way I can see clearly who is doing what and who has some kind of time off, so that we can either book them in or they can take their breaks. It also shows me the different appointment in different colors, so that I can see exactly what is happening with them. And if I need to know what colors indicate, then I can always go back to my legend, and it is telling me exactly what these color represents, so that I can make sense of what is going on this screen. Obviously I can also change the colors, so if I'm not happy with the standard colors, I can go into edit and change my colors from standard to whatever I like. Now, just before we can start using BAM, we need to look at some of the configuration settings. So we need to go into manage and edit business information. So apart from the regular stuff where you need to fill in your business name, your other details, you can also fill in your office hours, for example. So this is where the system will use from start time to end time to book any appointments. So for example, every day my business opens at 8 and closes at 5. So the system will know that I cannot book any appointment before 8 or after 5. And I also, or my staff also takes lunch breaks from 12 to 1. So again, there is no point in setting up any appointments during that time. So I can have different hours on different days. So pretty much I can say I open at 8 on Monday, but Tuesday, for whatever reason, I open at 10 because I have my weekly training on Tuesday. So I can go in and change this to 10 or 9:45 for that matter. So this way I can have exact times, start times and end times for every day. Now I can also have an override weekly schedule. So I can go in and say that on this particular day, instead of opening at 8, I will be opening at 12. Again, it could be for any reason, like staff training or for any reason. If the store needs to be closed, in some places they close the store for stock taking or for whatever reason, then you can have an override weekly schedule. You can have some quick options for appointment configuration, how you want the system to behave in certain situations. So you can come in and tick these boxes. There are a number of functions or features that rely on the email settings. So you need to come in and set up your emails so that you can use those features. Now, once our configuration is done, there are some other basic setup that we need to do, like creating the sales taxes, creating the tax groups, labor rates, so how much your labor rates are, how much the cost per employee is, and so on and so forth, and payment methods, so how you're going to charge your customer, cash, credit card, on account, and so on and so forth. The system has capability of very minimal account receivable functionality, so you can use that as well. So there is a very basic concept of item categories, so you can categorize your items. So if you just quickly look at it, it allows you to have some basic categorization of your items. Price levels, again, if you want to create some kind of price levels for your different sets of customers, then you can do that. You can have different invoice templates, and use these templates when you produce receipts or invoices, when you are completing your appointments. There is also a very good flexibility option where it allows you to set up what you are going to call your customers. Now, if we talk about salons, they call their customers client, but there is nothing stopping you from calling them guest. You're not going to call them patients for salon. But if you're going to call them guest or member or visitor, there's nothing stopping you from changing those naming conventions. Like provider is an employee or a salesperson or a staff. So this way you can actually customize it to the area or the industry that you're working in or you're using this in, so that it's familiar naming conventions are used. So you can do that as well. Okay, so it just restarted. Bam. Once you have done that, you are pretty much ready to start using the system. Now, the whole idea of using BAM is to be able to set up appointments. Hence, the first screen you will look at when you log in or when you open BAM is your appointment screen. Now, there are two ways of creating appointments. One is very straightforward, and if it's a very small environment where you do not do complicated things like appointments that take longer than half an hour, then what you can do is you simply find an employee that you can book an appointment with and right click and say new appointment. Now, the way it can work is that whoever is supposed to book appointments picks up the phone when the phone rings, and the customer says, I need to book an appointment for a haircut, in this case, for example. So what you can do is you can simply find a employee or a technician that can do haircuts and say the next available appointment is 9:15, for example, or 11:15. So you can just go through the customer and select whichever appointment is most suitable. Or the customer might say that normally I do it with Brian, so can I have an appointment with Brian? So you can go through appointments for Brian. You can also move from one day to the other. So if you can notice the day is changing. You can also see by day. So right now I'm looking at by day. You can also see it by work week, or you can see it by week, or even by month. So if a customer says something as far as next month, can I have an appointment next month? So it can even give you a view by next month. Normally, and the default is day, so we'll stick with daily screen. The other option you can do in terms of time is change the time scale. So at the moment, the time scale is 15 minutes. So it's showing you 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, and 9 o'clock. So you can change the time scales from 5 minutes to an hour. So you can say that show me 5 minutes, the gaps of 5 minutes. Again, this is to allow you to make it flexible. So your appointment might be as long as an hour or as small as 5 minutes. So it can allow you to book appointments in that time frame. 15 minutes is pretty standard, so we'll stick to 15 minutes. Now there are some other options. Now just before we look at other options, when you scroll through your screen, it right now is showing you from 12 midnight to 11 p.m. But it is only showing me that my store is open from 8 to 5 because that's the only area on my screen that I can book appointments for. This is pretty much useless to me because I can't book any appointments because simply my store is not open. So sometimes people do not like scrolling up and down and see times that are not really available. So I can go in and say lock time range, and what it allows me to do is for whatever screen I'm on, it will only show me what is available, and it won't show me. You can see that the scroll bar has reduced its height, so I can't scroll up or down. So I can do that. I can go to date. So if I wanted to check a date, and I can come back to today at whatever point I wanted. I can also check going to appointment view. So I can create a new appointment, or I can configure appointment view if I wanted to do that. Now let's right click on any one space and click on new appointment. So when I do that, I get a screen to set up an appointment. Now because I right clicked on John, it has automatically filled in my employee detail with John. Similarly, if I had right clicked on the column for Brian, it would have automatically picked Brian. It has also picked up the time where I right clicked. So I right click on 11:15, so it has picked up 11:15, and it is telling me by default it's 15 minutes appointment, but I am free to change it to whatever time I think it will take. To begin with, I need to fill in the appointment card with a customer detail, because there needs to be a customer, because we are a salon. We need to when we deliver this appointment, there needs to be a customer. So I select a customer, and then I can also select a schedule status. Now this is very important because we need to know what's going on with that appointment. So the various statuses are completed. So once the appointment is delivered and everything related to that appointment is done, then the appointment can be set to completed. Or it can be no show, so the customer didn't bother to turn up, so it is no show. Or schedule, like every time when you create an appointment, it is scheduled. Or it can be also tentative, so the customer called, can you tentatively book me for an appointment, and I'll confirm. So until they confirm, the status remains as tentative. Or you can change it to schedule whenever they confirm. Okay, so the appointment is scheduled. It can also be an all-day event. So if it's an appointment that is going to take the whole day, for example, a course or a training course or whatever that you're going to do for the whole day, then it can be for the whole day. You can also set up a reminder for yourself, pretty standard stuff. You can go in and say up to 2 weeks, it can show you a reminder. Now, the very important thing is appointment is a series. So if you wanted this customer to come back regularly, for example, you did hair color, you colored the hair, or you did that as a service, and you want to have that redone every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, then instead of booking this appointment as separate appointments over 3 to 6 months, you can set it up as a series. And what it will do is the system will then take care of the rest of the appointments automatically. So from one screen, you set up the first appointment, and the rest of the appointments are set up as part of the series. Now, one thing that we need to do is, like I was saying earlier, that it needs to have an employee to deliver an appointment, because we are a salon, and when the customer comes to us, we need to do something with the customer, a haircut, nails, coloring the hair, or whatever. The appointment also needs a resource, and the resource by definition is where that appointment is going to happen. So the appointment can happen on a chair, it can happen in a room, it can happen in a studio, it doesn't matter what it is. Physically, it doesn't matter what it is, but it needs to be a certain place where the appointment is going to take place. Now, when I want to add employee to this appointment, right now I right clicked on John Rogers, so it automatically picked that employee for this appointment. Nothing is stopping me from adding more employees to that appointment if I needed more employees. If there was more than one thing to be done, then I can have multiple employees. And on this screen, the one that shows me ticked under available are available for this time on this day to do or complete this appointment. The ones that are not ticked are either busy with something else or they don't do this kind of appointments. So hence the system is telling me that there is no point in booking them because there will be a conflict. Similarly, if I wanted to book a resource, it's telling me only these two rooms are available. Again, the other rooms are either not available. There might be some other appointment that is going to take place at this time, or they're just not available on that day. So let's select a room, and just for argument's sake, let's select Brian. So I want Brian and John to do this appointment in room 1. So if I click OK, immediately the system is telling me that there is a conflict with another appointment for Brian. And the reason is simple, because it already told us that Brian was not available for this appointment. So I need to remove him. So removing and adding employees to the appointment is pretty simple and straightforward. You just go in, look up for that employee, add them in, make sure that they are available, and click OK. And now once I got rid of that employee from the list, that warning has gone away. Okay, so I have set up the customer. I've told the system what the appointment is going to start at and when it is going to end, if it's all-day event or not, and if it's an appointment, if it's a series or not. I can also add the items to the appointment right now, even though it is not necessary. And these items are something that is going to be used in that appointment. So in BAM, I've got two types of items. One of them is inventory items and another one is non-inventory items. So inventory items is something physical that I'm going to use to do that appointment, like hair color or anything that I sell to the customer while they're there. Okay, so let's just add a shampoo. So the customer wants to do a shampoo, and at the same time they also want a massage. Okay, so I can go on and add and build a list of things that is going to happen in that appointment, and at the same time it will tell me how much that appointment is actually going to be or how much it is going to cost to the customer. So it builds up a list and I can select the items and the services from the drop downs. There is a concept of attendees. The appointment can have more than one people as the customer or as people who are part of that appointment. It's not just one-to-one appointment. So in places like a gym, where when you're doing a particular class, there can be more than one person in that class. So the appointment is not necessarily for one person, it is for more than one person. So you can have your customers as attendees. So there is one main customer and the rest of them are attendees. Or you can even have prospects. So if somebody wants to come and have a look how you do your hair or how clean your salon is or how people work, so you can obviously, if your customer allows you, you can add a prospect to your appointment so that they can come in and spend time during that appointment and have a look how things are done. You also have custom fields. So you can have up to 10 text fields, 10 number fields, 5 number fields, 5 checkboxes, and 5 date fields. So there are pretty much enough custom fields to be used if you wanted to. A simple reason for using custom fields would be if you wanted to put in what color they used when you did the hair color. So if there is a specific formula you want to use every time they come in, then you can set it up in custom text 1. And just for your marketing purposes, you can have their date of birth, your anniversary dates, and things like that in custom date fields. Okay, so once you have booked your appointment, the appointment is booked. Once you have created the appointment, you can see it on the screen. Now, the system is pretty flexible in terms of allowing you to move appointments. So if the customer calls again and say that, can you move the appointment instead of 11:15 to some other time, then all you have to do is just drag and drop. You can also say that this appointment is going to be longer than 15 minutes, so you can also increase the time by simply stretching the box for that appointment. Obviously, you could have also done that by double clicking on that appointment and changing it the time from the start and end time, but this is just pretty straightforward and intuitive by simply dragging and dropping and moving the appointments across. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to move appointments across and to increase the time or decrease the time, if for the matter of fact. So this is one way of creating an appointment. The other way of creating an appointment is by creating a schedule. Now this is used more in a more busy environment, and you can't scroll between scroll between dates, scroll between various employees. It's just going to be too much. So what you do is, instead of doing that, you use the system where the system will tell you which is the next appointment that is available. Okay, so you click on next, and for using the schedule wizard, you create templates. So we have created a template for a signature facial, and it can only happen in body treatment room 1, and it lasts for 3 hours. So I need to find when the customer calls and says, in the next 2 weeks or in the next month, tell me when is the earliest possible appointment for massage and signature facial between this day and this day. Okay, so I need to select the appointment, click next, and it tells me that the very first appointment is on the 7th of June, starting at 1. So you go through go through this list with the customer until the customer says, yeah, that is the appointment I want. Okay, and once you select the appointment, then you carry on with the appointment creation steps, like what we saw, by creating a customer or selecting a customer and then filling the rest of the details. But the big difference between this and what we saw earlier is that earlier you just right clicked and created an appointment for that time slot where you right clicked on schedule wizard. It actually tells you when is the next available appointment for that type of service. So you can then select, talk to the customer, give them various options, and then decide what they wanted to do. So this is another way of creating an appointment. Whichever way you do it, the appointment will be created and you can see it on this screen. Now you can edit the appointment by going in and out of it by double clicking on the appointment, making changes, clicking OK to save it, and that is how simple it is to make changes. Now this will be required if you wanted to change, like for this example, it clearly says that it needs to be rescheduled. So reschedule might be just simply moving the time and saying that, okay, now that we have rescheduled, the appointment is now confirmed. So immediately you can see that the color for that appointment has changed from orange to green, and now it says appointment confirmed. Now when the appointment is actually taking place, the appointment can be taking place now. Appointments can be taking place now. So you could just simply, once they complete, all you have to do is you have to go in and say appointment is completed. And once you do that, that appointment changes to white, which means that the appointment is now completed. And when the appointment is completed, you could then go in either invoice. So if this customer was a credit customer, you could invoice to them, or you could complete the transaction as a cash sale. So you can right click and say that, okay, whatever was used in that appointment. So if you haven't selected the items when you were setting the appointment, you could do it now. Okay, so the customer bought this, and we also did this for them. If there was any reason for you to change the price level, you could go in and change the price level, and it immediately takes effect. The sales tax and will be calculated automatically if you select the sales tax group. Now you can also put in the reference. You can select what template you want to use to print the receipt, and all you have to do is just select how the customer is paying and click OK to finish the transaction. So this is how you can set up the appointment, make changes to the statuses, or create an appointment using the wizard, and then complete the appointment by changing the appointment type or status to complete, and then charge the customer, either giving them an invoice or creating a cash sale. So this was how you can create an appointment and complete an appointment. So let's look at various other things that we have. There is a concept of blockout times, and what blockout time allows you to do is it allows you to tell the system that specific times I need to block for you to keep the staff out of that calculation. So it won't look at those times for creating appointments for those staff for various reasons. They might be on leave, they might not want to do the appointments, they might not be feeling well, or for whatever reason you can have block out times. Tentative appointments, if you want somebody to call these customers and say that, look, you have booked an appointment tentatively, do you want to confirm, you can have a look at that specific list. You can also look at appointment templates. So like I said, I've created one called massage and signature facial, which can happen in body treatment room 1, and it lasts for 3 hours. So I can create as many templates I want, and then when I'm doing my schedule using the wizard, I can select which appointment the customer wants, and based on that it will show you the list of available time slots. Now, as a business owner, I have also got Business Outlook, so I can go in there and to look at how my business is doing. Now, based on my future appointments, I can see my sales volume. So it's telling me that, okay, the sales volume is this based on today's appointments, and then also the sales forecast for the next 7 days. So it shows you the date, and you can select for next 7 days, 14 days, and so on and so forth. Or you can just look at for one employee, or for multiple employees, or for all of them, for that matter of fact. So you can see bits of graphs, figures, to see how your business is doing. There is a simple concept of tasks. It allows you to set up tasks for yourselves, like for example paying bills. So we need to complete this by 18/5, and if I have got anything that I want as a business, or somebody from my business to do it, then I will set it up as a task. On the right hand side, it gives me a quick today's view to see what kind of appointments are going on, what are scheduled, what needs to be rescheduled, so I can put people on it immediately. And if I'm doing credit accounts, then I can see which accounts are overdue, so I can start chasing them. So this is a business outlook screen. It gives me more information about how my business is doing, what are the kind of appointments that are in there, and so on and so forth. So I can have a look at tasks. I can create new tasks. Employees. So this is the list of employees we have. So you can see that there are individual employees, plus there are groups. Now there is a concept of either individual employee. So if there is only a haircut that is going to happen in that appointment, then you do not need more than one person. But what if it is a special package, like when you do the hair, you can also do the nails, you can also do the coloring, and so on and so forth. And normally these are 3 different people who are going to do this. So you can create groups of employees. So when you set up appointments, it's much easier for you to set it up when you can create groups. So you can put them as one group rather than setting them up as 3 different employees. You also have a concept of resources. So where the appointment is going to take place. Is it in the studio? Is it in the meeting room? so on and so forth. And similar to groups of employees, you also have a concept of group of resources. So an appointment can take place in more than one resource. So first part of the appointment might be on the chair, the next part might be on the massage bed, and so on and so forth. So instead of booking these resources separately, you can create them as a group, and then when you create appointments, you can use them as a group. So those are employees and resources. Then you have clients. It's list of all your clients, so you can see either they are individual clients or group or business clients, and so on and so forth. You also have a concept of communication, so a basic CRM, what's going on with each and every customer. So every time you call them, or you send them an email, or you send them a fax, you can register that communication record under this list, so we know exactly what is going on with each and every customer. There is a concept of alerts. So if you want to create alerts, so whenever you select a customer in an appointment, and if they have a corresponding alert set up, then that alert will be shown on the screen. So if we go back to the appointment view, I can see that there are a few appointments that have alerts icon next to them. So if I open that, I can move my cursor to that alert, and it says appointments only with John Rogers. So book appointments for this customer only with John Rogers. So it's telling me that I have booked them with David, or Daniel rather. Instead, this customer wants only appointment with John. So I need to make that change for this warning to go away. So if I go in there and I remove and if I add Daniel, then I know that this customer wants, in fact, they want John. So let's go in and, okay, so this is an example where John is not available. So we need to either call the customer and say that, look, John is not available for this appointment, so can somebody else do it, and so on and so forth. So you can actually see certain workflow when you're booking appointments. But this is how alerts work. So you can have alerts assigned to individual customers, and when the customers book an appointment, or when you book an appointment for this customer, it will automatically show you if there are any alerts. Similarly, you can have prospects. So the people who can be your future customers are effectively prospects, so you can have a separate list for them. You have a full-blown system where you can create quotes. So if somebody calls you and say, quote me for a haircut, or quote me for colors, and so on and so forth, so you can create them. Plus you can have different statuses for them, like open, closed, or rejected. Rejected means they didn't like it, so they rejected it. Invoices, you can have a look at your different invoices and cash sales. So this is pretty much your journal, so you can see whatever receipts or whatever transactions you have done under this list. You can also see client payments, so every payment that the customer makes against their credit accounts goes in there. But most importantly, your items list. So it allows you to see what you have in the database. So it allows you to see your inventory items, plus it allows you to see your services item or your non-inventory items. So you can have a look at both. Let's just have a quick look at what we have under items. So just the basic details, the UPC code, the category, item type can be either inventory, non-inventory, or time labor. So time labor is when you are charging based on your employees' charge rates. So it will allow you to use employees' rate when you select your time labor. Taxable commission item, these are just a few flags. Then you have unit price and cost. A simple stock levels like on hand, reorder point, and restock levels, so you can see what's going on with this item. Plus you have got a few custom fields, so you have got 10 text fields 5 number fields, and so on. So if you wanted to use any of these, you can use to extend the properties of items. So let's have a look. Basically, let's have a look at some of the other things that we have. So you have a simple calendar view if you wanted to jump from one date to the other. So we are on 23rd, we can go on to 27th. So it allows you to just jump from one date to the other in a quick fashion. Or you can simply move between dates, go to dates, or you can come back to today by clicking on today. You can do a mail merge and write a letter to a customer right from BAM. You can select a client for various reasons, so you can go in and select that client. So when you're writing a letter, it will send to this client. You can also do your billing cycles. So if you were using credit customers, then you can do client statements and excess finance charges. So you can do your statements every month. Now, once you have created your appointment and you have set up the appointments, you can publish these appointments to Google Calendars. Now, the license for BAM works is that in a way similar to Office. So it will work on the machine you install it on. So for example, if there are more than one people who wants to log in and have a look at their appointments, the easier way would be to just give it to them rather than allowing them to log in on just one machine. So the way to give it to them is, or one of the ways is to actually publish their appointments to Google. So you can simply go in and set up the Google system. And once you have done the synchronization, I've done it for a sample synchronization, and you can see that the calendar goes on to Google, and then all they have to do is use another machine or a machine and log on to their Google account and look at their appointments. Simple and easy. You can also send appointments by email. So as I was telling you earlier, once you have set up your emails, you can then go in and send your appointments by email. So you can go in and say, send appointments to all these people by email. So these are some of the options that you can use. Now let's have a look at or a quick look at reports. So under reports, you have got various, or I would say that you have got plenty of reports that you can use. One of the reports is appointments by employee, or even item details by employee. So you can every day you can give this report to your employees, and they use this report as their time card and tick as and when they finish their appointments, and then basically use this to charge the customers as well. So it's serving you more than one purpose. It's allowing your staff to see what the schedule is like for today, plus what they are actually going to be doing and who the customers are going to be, and then how much they need to charge once they finish the appointment. So the reports are active reports, or they have drillable columns, so you can drill to various sections. So if you want to go straight to this customer, you can go in by just clicking on it, or if you want to go to this staff, you can just click on it and go straight to that staff. So similarly, you have got various different reports like the price list. So you can have a simple price list, print it out, and maybe have it next to your reception or something like that. So there are various reports that can be used or that can be generated from BAM. Now, as we have looked at creating the appointments, then changing the statuses of the appointment, we have looked at how the appointments can be completed, and then eventually how they can be charged. Now, at the point where you need to charge, instead of charging them in BAM, you could also link them to RMS. Now, even though BAM in itself is a complete product. As you have seen, there is no real need to use RMS. But if for whatever reason the customer already has RMS, RMS will have more functionality in terms of stock. If you want to link it to RMS, then you can link it as a plugin, and that plugin can be executed from the plugin section and go to Microsoft RMS data synchronization. Now the way it works is that for every completed appointment, the appointment will be sent to RMS as a work order, so that the work order can be recalled on another terminal or even on the same terminal and converted into a sale. Now, benefits of doing that is that once the work order is created, you can add more items to it from your RMS item list, and then charge the customer based on whatever the item list is. So you can have just the services item in your BAM, and you can have the full list of items in RMS. So you can only charge for services in BAM, or you can only put services in your appointment list, but when the appointment hits RMS as an order, you can add the rest of the items to it from there. So let's synchronize. So it goes through the synchronization process. It synchronizes the customer, it synchronizes the items, and then eventually it creates all the closed or completed appointments as work orders. So if we go into work orders, recall a work order, you should be able to see all the appointments. Right now we have selected a customer. Let's get rid of customer. And now if I go into a work order, these are all my finished appointments. So I can recall an appointment, and what I can do is I can simply complete this appointment as this work order and convert it into a receipt, or I could go in and sell some more items to my customer. So the customer might say that, oh, by the way, what conditioner you used in that appointment, I really liked it, can I buy it? And you'd say, yeah, of course you can buy it, it's $10. So you just whack it into this transaction, and then you can go in and pick up the entire work order and finish. So this is how you can link the two systems together. Again, I would like to point out that you do not need to link it. BAM is completely independent. It has facilities to convert appointments into sale. You can even have a little bit of account receivables. It can take care of your stock and so on and so forth. But for whatever reason, and the reasons are, some of the reasons are, if you want more control over your stock, for example, if you want to create purchase orders, or if you want to have some of the extra functionalities that you have in RMS, or even in some cases, if you have if your salon, for example, is just part of a bigger store, then you can use RMS for the rest of the store and BAM for the salon. But again, you do not need to have the two systems together. BAM can work on its own. So that completes our webinar for today. If you have any questions, please, you are more than welcome to ask.